The years of stalemate on the Western Front were decisively ended in August 1918 when the Allied nations launched the first of a series of offensives that drove the German army out of France and threatened to take the war onto German soil, forcing the German government to sue for peace. The resulting armistice came into effect at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918. The Great War had ended with an Allied victory. The Road to Victory series reveals the parts played by the Army Corps during 1918 and the final phase of the war, the period which came to be known as the 100 Days Offensive.
Between 1914 and 1918, the Intelligence Corps grew from 50 or so officers up to over 3,500 officers and men, employed in a wide range of activities both covertly and in uniform. By late 1917, British military intelligence had provided Field Marshal Haig with a very clear picture of the German intentions for the much predicted 1918 spring offensive. The information that led to this understanding came from many sources. A network of secret agents, controlled by intelligence officers, had been established in Luxembourg and those areas of France and Belgium under German occupation. The network provided a huge amount of information about the movements of German army units across the extensive railway network behind German lines. These train-watching agents passed their information back to the headquarters at number 41 Rue Saint-Roch in Paris by coded letter, by pigeon post, and even in innocent-looking adverts and letters placed in a farming community magazine, which crossed the lines in the diplomatic bag. German communications were being intercepted and their codes broken. 12 ladies with German language skills were recruited by General Headquarters Intelligence from within the Women's Auxiliary Army Corps. They were used to help the translation and code-breaking effort. The first of these ladies, known colloquially as the Hushwacks because of the secrecy of their work, was Mabel Diamond Peel. Miss Peel wrote a journal about her experiences as a Hushwack, and after the war she returned to France to open a branch of the Royal British Legion in Rouen. Information was gained from the interrogation of captured German prisoners of war. Here we see an officer wearing the green tabs of intelligence interrogating a captured German prisoner. Over his shoulder you'll see a General Staff officer wearing the red tabs of the General Staff. Few General Staff officers had a background in intelligence or language skills that were good enough to interrogate a German prisoner of war. This is where the Intelligence Corps could step in with the right skill set. Captured documents could be analysed for information. This German soldier's personal diary was begun in 1914 and records his morale as the war progressed, as well as giving useful details about his unit, its commanders, their abilities and actions. In 1918, the Royal Flying Corps became the Royal Air Force. One of its primary roles was to take aerial photography of enemy positions and to report enemy dispositions and troop movements. Understanding the enemy's trenches, his barbed wire entanglements, strong points and gun positions could be critical to the success of any attack. This German Army Handbook is a distillation of all the information known about the German Army by 1917. It was made by the British for its officers and soldiers to get a good understanding of the enemy. Know your enemy is one of the oldest and truest of military sayings. Collecting information is only one part of the job. The massive information needs to be turned into intelligence to be able to predict the enemy's intentions and hopefully defeat him or spoil his plans. Analysing information was carried out by Intelligence Corps officers and soldiers like Captain William George Gabain, Military Cross. A schoolmaster in peacetime, Captain Gabain had joined the British Expeditionary Force in 1914 and served throughout the conflict, earning a mention in dispatches, the Military Cross in 1917, and being wounded along the way. By the close of 1917, the Germans knew that their spring 1918 offensive would be their last chance to force a decisive outcome against the British and French before the arrival in force of the Americans. The Germans also benefited from the collapse of Russian resistance on the Eastern Front, which released 50 divisions which could be moved to assist in the assault on the Western Front. Although British intelligence had predicted the German spring offensive, known as the Ludendorff Offensive or the Kaiserschlacht or Kaiser's Battle, when it came, the British army on the Somme was heavily outnumbered and was initially pushed back by the weight of the assault, and the new German tactic of using elite stormtroopers to bypass strong points leaving them for the following troops to mop up while they pushed on. A heroic defence by British troops slowed the German advance and took a dreadful toll of their elite stormtroopers, but not without the sacrifice of thousands of Allied casualties, one of whom was Captain Gobain, who was killed in action near Pagny-on-the-Somme, leading troops in the front line. By the time the German High Command called off the assault in July 1918, their army had taken a terrible mauling and their elite forces were no more. It had been a close-run thing, but having blunted German fighting power, the Allies prepared and launched the Battle of Amiens in August 1918, the beginning of the period now known as the 100 Days Offensive.